Welcome to the Clinic Mastery Business Planner Toolkit. What I'm going to be going through with you today is how to use this tool, and there's going to be some nuance in here, so you're going to have to run it through your filter because every business is going to be different. What we're trying to create with this tool is a way to take you from the clouds, so thinking that big picture, blue sky vision, thinking along those kinds of lines, and then pulling it back to the dirt. So essentially looking at what are the big goals, drawing it back to what are the key actions or the critical drivers that we need to be doing day in, day out, week out in order for us to be successful. So when we look at this tool here, you'll see on the front page, it's the clouds essentially. And I love this because when you come into this each time, you get to see these are the big picture goals. This is what we're here for. This is what we're aiming for. All right. Now, as you go from left to right on those tabs, you'll see you come from looking 3 to 4 years in the future to just 1 year. So we're just looking at 1 year with this one, which in this example here is the 2020-2021 financial year. When you come across to the next one, you'll find your phase 1, so your first 4-month period, where you're going to put your ASAP plan in. If you come across again, you'll find your second 4-month period and your third 4-month period, culminating on the 30th of June where it's going to finish up and then start again the next year. And on this final tab here, you'll find this is our business owner CPD planning tool. And what I find this useful for especially is as business owners, we always look at CPD for our team and what can they be doing and what are the courses they should be doing, the books they should be reading. But we don't often plan this out for ourselves well enough. So what I'd like you to do here is to plan out what does this look like for you over the next 12 months and even over the next 3 or 4 years. So this is where you can brain dump all the books you'd love to read or you've had recommendations, all the courses you've been told you should do, the different podcasts and maybe YouTube videos as well that have been recommended to you by the Clinic Mastery team and other people in leadership positions. Pulling it back now to the front page. So this is the clouds, like I said, this is the bigger picture that we're looking at here. Now the way to fill this out best is to use it in a combination with a couple of other tools. Now we've got our client ceiling calculator, which is going to help you to see, well, what's the sort of ceiling we would hit for the current patient drop-off we have each month and for the new clients and new issues that are coming in each month. Now it's not perfect, it's not exact, because it's going to really depend on the data you're pulling from your PMS, and it's really hard to get some of those things exact because someone might cancel, come back in 3 or 4 weeks later. Does that actually count as a full cancel or a drop-off? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on the time horizon that you want to use for that. So they're all things to think about there, and I'll go into those in more depth in those other tools. But for now, you're going to find out what's that sort of ceiling you think, like you typically think you're going to be hitting with the numbers that you're aiming for. Okay, cool. That gives us the total number of clients we can be aiming for in any one period. And then we can take that to the rolling break even and look at, well, what does that look like clinician-wise? How many clinicians do we need? What's the gap between where we are now and the amount of clinicians we're going to need to service and help that many people? But also, what would the profit margin be? So that's where you get those two different numbers from. Now, of course, you can sort of just create these numbers if you want to start with and just go with it. But if you want to go a little bit more nitty-gritty, like myself, I love a good spreadsheet. If you want to get more in the nitty-gritty, you can use those tools. But again, take it with a grain of salt because every business type is going to be slightly different, and that's okay. Just run it through your filter of what works best for your business and understand it might not be 100%, it might be 95%, but it gives you a good picture of where you can be starting from at least. So what you do, and you'll remember if you attended the digital event, that Daniel Gibbs said when you're trying to create a straight line for a fence post, you start with the last post first, and then you pull back the wire so you know exactly where you're going. And it's the same thing with goal setting here. What I'd like you to think about, what I'd like you to be doing as you're going through this, is actually start at the end first. So start on this example, year 23-24. So this is culminating June 30, 2024. And you're going to put, where do you want to be at the end of that time? So that's 4 years' time for us. So in 4 years' time, where are we going to be? And that makes it a lot easier to come back and go, all right, if that's where we want to be in 4 years' time, let's break that down into 4 chunks, right? And for instance here, if we looked at a clinic PVA of 11, and we're currently sitting about 8, now we could try and go 8 to 11 straight away, but it's probably not realistic. What if we went 8.5 by the end of next June, and then 9.5, and then 10, and then 11, and make it manageable bite-sized chunks? That sounds really realistic. Because when I look at going from 8.5 to 11 straight away, that's a hell of a jump. That's a huge hike. So pulling it back and making bite-sized chunks. And you'll see on the left-hand side here, we're currently 6 full-time physios, 2 full-time physios at the other clinic, 3 massage, 1,599 clients per month in this example, 240 new clients and 80 new issues per month again, monthly revenue of $146,000 with 15% profit margin at a $91 average spend. Now these are just numbers that I've created for this, but I've run them through the other tools so that they actually do financially make sense. The numbers make sense on these. And I started with this number up here, and I've worked my way back on what I think could be possible jumps each year, what I think could be quite realistic. Now we started with 6 full-time physios at one clinic, 2 at the other, plus 3 massage. You can see the next year we add 1 more full-time to one of the clinics and add a nutritionist in. And the next year we add 1 more physio, and the next year 1 more physio, 1 more EP in there too, and 1 physio and 1 EP in this year. So it's not massive jumps, but when I look at, 2,350 clients and currently sitting around 1,500, that's a big, big jump. So when we pull it back and we chop it down to those bite-sized pieces and we put it in here, start with the end in mind and pull our way back, it suddenly seems so much more achievable. So you're going to fill it out for help more people, help more often, and add more value. And you can put whatever you want in here that's relevant to your clinic. And everyone's going to interpret this slightly differently, and that's okay too. And you'll see under each of these headings, we've got what are your goals for new client numbers, total clinic numbers, etc. Help more often, so what are your goals for PVA, client retention? And there'll be other things that fall under here that are more relevant to your clinic too, and that's all right. And then add more value. All the ways you can add more value to your clients and maybe to your team as well. So think outside the box, to your referrers even. It's just adding more value. So once you've filled out this page, and one more thing, as you're filling out this page, please do put your clinic name at the top here, your business start date. So when did you start your business? Then come across to your business sale goal. Now, the reason we call this, just in case you're going, I don't want to sell my business, Peter. The reason we call this the business sale goal is maybe when you get to the end of your business life, you want to sell it. Okay, so rather than just having a business end date, because we probably don't want the business to end, you might want to sell it and profit from the work that you've put in. You can change that if you want to whatever you want to say, but essentially when you plan to retire from business. And what you can see in this example is I started my business on the 1st of July 2015, and I said maybe 2050 seems reasonable. And what I can see here is that I'm 15.49% of the way through my business career, which is exciting. It means I've got 85% to go. There's a long way to go in my business career yet, and I don't have to do everything by next year. And I think looking at this really helps me because I can go, all right, I don't have to do 100 different tasks this week and not do any of them well. I can focus on those 1 or 2 things that are going to make the big difference and consistently chip away at it over time. Now, once you've done that, you can jump across to the next page. And on the next page, again, you're going to see lots of things moving in this. I love the little moving parts. So you'll see that we're 34.48% of the way through the year at the moment, the financial year, sorry. And it has auto filled in what I put down in these cells. So what I put down as the goal for the end of 2020, 2021, so the June 30, end of the financial year, you'll see that it's pulled it across to here and it's put it in here for us. Nice. If we go down, you'll see we've got 3 phases or 3 periods now. Now these are our ASAP periods. Now there can be some confusion between ASAP's got 4 periods in it, and people sometimes think, why are there only three columns here? And it's help more people, help more often, add more value. What I want you to think about is you're putting in your overarching goals for that whole ASAP period. And there's 3 periods, so 3 4-month periods. So you find 3 of these coming through here, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Each one of those is a separate ASAP phase. Okay, so I hope that clears that up. Each one is separate. Now, at the time of shooting this one, it is the 2nd of November. And so what you'll see here is that we are 100% of the way through the first phase. So that first ASAP period has already expired. And so this has hit 100%. Now, what you can do when you do finish a period or a phase is give that a little tickle over here and you'll see it grayed out for you. It just helps, I think, when you have something that's interactive and you hit done, tick, and it changes and you're like, done that. Awesome, love it. So then you'll move on to the next one. Now, what I'd like you to do on this page is actually to break it down from overarching goal for a 12-month period into your 3 ASAP phases. So in this example, for the first ASAP phase, you can see I've broken it down. I want 5 full-time physios, 1.5 at the other clinic, 2 massage, 1,400 clients per month, etc. For my help more often, I wanted 0 to 100 refreshed and a plan for a new grad program outlined and a monthly email implemented. And over here, which is a big project we're working on, 2,000 unique organic users to the website each month, 4 months of videos planned and filmed. And as you go down, you'll see that each of them will increase. So I'm slowly getting larger and larger in what I want to have achieved down to that end goal, which will essentially be the same as the goal you have up here. So that is how you fill that one out. You've broken it down from 4 years to a 1-year bite-sized chunk, and then you break that into 3. So as you finish things off, give them a little tickle, that'll grey it out, and you can see we're 0.84% of the way through this ASAP phase. And the other thing you might see is there's not heaps in here. There's a few large projects, but the most important thing here is that we're having sustainable growth. So we don't need heaps and heaps of things in here. We need a few things that are gonna essentially help us to grow and be those levers, those critical drivers, but a few of them done really well, consistently over time. And I'll use this SEO example because I think this is a brilliant one. Now at our clinic, we get about 66 new clients per month from Google. And that's with 2,000 unique organic views. And we've taken that from 1,000 to 2,000. We've seen that subsequent increase in referrals coming through from Google. Now, let's say that our lifetime spend, average lifetime spend is going to be $1,000. If it's $1,000 per client, and I know that if I can increase that from 2,000 unique views to 3,000 by the end of this 12-month planning period, I would expect that I get another 50% of referrals coming from Google because I've increased people looking for physio by 50% organically. Now what that would look like is a 50% increase in what I'm currently getting, which would be another 32 people. Now if I'm getting another 32 people coming through at $1,000 average lifetime value per month, that's an extra $32,000 per month, or an extra basically $360,000 per year. So we're starting to amplify our impact by doing the basic stuff continuously. And you'll see as we move over to the next section, how we are implementing that. As we jump across now to phase 2, so I'll jump to phase 2. Normally you'd obviously start at phase 1 if you were July, August, September, October, but because it's November now, I'm gonna jump into phase 2. Struggled with the date there, didn't I? I'm gonna jump into phase 2. So as we go across to phase 2, what you'll see is it auto-fills the main goals. So whatever you had put here, we can see was these 3, it's gonna auto-fill for us up to here. So we can see what we need to be working on. We can laser focus in on this. Now the next step is to look at, well, there's going to be technically 17.33333 weeks in one of these 4-month ASAP phases. So I've given you 18 weeks here. Now what I'd like you to do is to think of what are the 18 milestones throughout this period to hit those goals. So if we're looking at these goals at the top, what do we need to achieve each week in order to hit these goals? And I've put a few examples in here and I haven't gone through and filled this out incredibly detailed, but just so you can get the picture and you can start working on your own. Now with my own business, how I actually do this is I go, well, what are the main things that I need to tick off? And it might not be weekly, it might be 1 week. That's gonna go for 2 or 3 weeks. And then the next one might go for 5 weeks. And the one after that might go every single week. Like it might be really important that I do this every single week. So it doesn't have to constantly be changing. It can literally be the same things each week if that's what you need to be working on. You don't need to constantly find new problems, new challenges if there are big projects that we're working on and we're just constantly chipping away. But what are the things that make up those projects, and put them in here. So in this example, you can see we're really looking at improving our online presence, getting some more new clients, new issues, looking at our new grad training program, improving our PVA, and really big here, improving our SEO, so our organic ranking of our website. When I look at our weekly milestones, we got the webinar with Ryan and a running analysis video, anti-gravity video for a treadmill, SEO page, and you'll start to see the SEO comes up pretty much every week that I need to be doing an SEO page. And that's just come from the larger plan that we talked about before of we want to be increasing our unique organic views. Okay, so you'll see some things just pop up consistently. So what you'll see is as we scroll down, we've broken the weeks down now into different tasks here. Okay, so we've got 18 weeks, as you can see, and we've broken it down so you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks and then allocate the time. Now with this, a lot of people go, I want to add in 15 tasks. This is not the place to be putting spot fires on and say, I'm going to be tying my shoes here and I'm going to make sure I drop the kids at school. It's not what you want to put here. What you want to put here are the big projects that you're working on. What's the important stuff that's moving you closer towards those big goals that you've set for yourself? That's what should be going on here, not the little spot fire day-to-day sort of stuff. Because to just make sure you make that distinction when you're filling this out, you don't have to have them all filled out. You can only have 1 or 2 things. But if there are the important 1 or 2 things, then that's more than enough. So on here, you'll see I've got some webinar plus promo, shooting a video and editing it, social media videos, an SEO page, etc. Now there's a lot of time put into this, but I had a lot of time that week to be working on it. Once you've put those in there, and typically I would do say 1 to 4 weeks at a time. So I'd be planning ahead 1 to 4 weeks, no more than that really, because it gets really hard to start thinking that far in the future. I think about how am I going to break these little things up? So 1 to 4 weeks, and then on a Sunday night before Sunday night before that week, what I would do is I'd sit there and I'd look, all right, I've got these tasks coming up. Where am I going to fit these in my diary? So I'd sit there and I'd go, all right, time to go on GCal. You come up here, give this link. If you're signed in to Google, clicking this link will take you straight to your GCal every time. Nice and simple. If you don't use GCal, then whatever diary you use, please use that one. Then coming down here, I would go, all right, have I put it in GCal? And tick it off as I go. Because it's really important, I believe, to put these things in your calendar and make appointments with yourself so that you can stick to it. Okay? A lot of people say, and I found this myself, when I was a practitioner and I looked at my diary and I had 50, 60, 70 clients a week, it didn't feel stressful because I knew exactly what I had to do. I knew exactly when I had to do it. Life was simple, right? Remember back to being a practitioner, you have appointments, you go there, you know what you have to do, when you have to do it. You don't have to plan all that stuff yourself. When you become a business owner, suddenly things don't need to be done exactly at these little times. And so you start going, oh, well, I'm going to scroll through Instagram and I'll check these emails and I don't know, I'll check this, and you get lost down these rabbit holes. And suddenly time gets away from you because we don't keep appointments with ourselves the same way we did with clients. So putting these in your GCal and making sure it's an appointment with yourself that you keep, I find really important. Because I want you to imagine the feeling, because the feeling I used to have waking up on a Monday morning was a bit stressed. I wasn't sure what I should be doing exactly. I definitely wasn't sure what the most important thing I should be doing was, or the most profitable to move the business towards our big goals. Because I was unsure about all those things, I felt a little bit lost, and I felt like I wasn't super useful, and I wasn't getting the most out of my time. Fast forward to today, when I've put those things in my diary, I wake up on a Monday morning and I have clarity. I know what I need to work on. I know it's in my diary, so I've got time for it. And I know that's moving us towards our bigger goal. And it's a really good feeling, my friends. Next up, what I'd like you to do, so just think about that feeling, but next up, as you do tick these things off, like I said, things have to move and change in this. Give this one a little tickle as you do, and it will grey it out once you've done these things. Now, the trick to ticking these ones off up here is just to tick the 5th task off. So if I tick this task off, it's going to grey that one out. And even if there's no fifth task there, if you want to tick off the weekly milestone, you do just have to go down and give that one a little tick, and you'll see that it'll grey that out. Now, as you put in the hours here, as how many hours is this task going to take, that's how many hours you have to put in Google, in GCal for it. Because if it's not in GCal, if you go to your GCal and you go, oh, I said 2 hours, but I only got an hour and a half, well, then you probably haven't got time to actually do it. So whatever time you anticipate this to take, make sure that it's reflected in your GCal. Because the mistake I used to make is I would put heaps of stuff in there and it would have hours and hours and hours, and then I'd put 30 minutes or hour blocks where it should have been 3 or 4 hours. Whatever time you anticipate it to take, respect that time and make sure your GCal is reflective of that. Because if it is, you're much more likely to be successful. Set yourself up for success, not failure. As you put hours in, what you'll also notice here is this little graph will tell you how many total hours work you have to do. So if you're doing it, say, 1 to 4 weeks at a time, you'll see over this period of time, this is how many hours I've got to work on the business, again, to give you a visual picture of what's happening. And these are the hours completed. So as you tick things off, you'll see that that one is going to move forwards. Again, it's just, you're chasing the bars. You set one goal and then the hours completed you want to achieve that with. These little things, again, set those goals. They can help. They're visual reminders of where we are, where we're going, and moving things forwards. And if you remember Jack's example of the map and looking at the little arrow, essentially here, this is the arrow. It's showing us we're moving in that right direction and we're trying to catch that blue bar. I think it's blue. I'm definitely colorblind. It could be purple, but we're trying to catch that blue bar. So once you've got this page finished, or you've worked through a certain amount of this page, you'll come down. Like I said, it doesn't have to be all 18 weeks at once, but you definitely want to fill out what are your main milestones and 1 to 4 weeks down here. Once you finish this page, I'd like you to go to the CPD planner and have a think here about what you would like to book in for yourself for CPD. Now, this doesn't have to be paid courses. We've got, as you can see along the side here, videos, books, journals, online courses, live courses, mentorship, so like Clinic Mastery. Just think about all the ways that you can upskill yourself, and how does that fit into your diary essentially? How does it fit into your week, your month, your ASAP plan, or into your year? And actually plan those out. So put in your Clinic Mastery events, the ones that you do plan on going to. Look at, well, what else do you want to be doing leadership-wise? Maybe you could be looking at upskilling in numbers. It might be upskilling in a completely different area. It might be even as a practitioner. If you're still working as a practitioner, then what courses do you want to be doing to improve? Okay, but again, plan that out here and then go back to your 2021 goals, plan it out in here too, and then bring it across to whatever phase, whatever ASAP period you're working through, and put it in there too. Again, it's about making sure that we've planned ahead, because if we plan ahead successfully and we put these things in our diary and we stick to the appointments we keep with ourselves and we're focused on the big goals and chipping away at them bit by bit, I truly think you'll be incredibly successful. So as you are going through this one, remember, we start with the clouds. We start with this part of the business planner. We're thinking big picture, blue sky vision. Where do we want to be? What do we want to get to? And then we're pulling it back and we're chopping it down into a 1-year piece. And we're breaking that down into our 3 ASAP phases. And then from there, we go into, let's break that phase down and let's break it down to bite-sized weekly pieces and then tasks to achieve that. Give that a shot, my friends. I hope this helps you with that feeling of uncertainty and not knowing exactly what you should be working on, and flipping that to clarity and certainty. So you know you're on the right path, you know when you're working on each thing, and you can see that bigger picture and you're moving towards it.